Welcome, everybody. It's CyberBulls, and we thought we'd have a whole gang here, but Xander's not here right now. He promised me he's going to join, so he might be joining shortly. A bunch of topics that we could talk about or anything you want to talk about, but there's the earnings call next Wednesday. There's a Cybertruck interview that happened with Franz this weekend. Investor Day is quite exciting. It's March 1st. And then there's actually a lawsuit that Elon is going to be called up to do. It's starting today on Tuesday. So welcome, everybody. Let's showcase Christian. Apparently, he's got some new look or something, but I didn't really notice any difference.
A little bit of a beard. Nothing much. It'll be gone soon.
The girls see it. That's what he wants.
Why did you do that? Why are you doing that when the stock is actually going up?
Well, I was going to shave, but I was going to be late to this, so I decided I'm going to have to go with it. I was being lazy.
Right.
Because you shave at, what time is it where you are? 4 in the afternoon?
Yeah. So
let's ask Jeff. Like you said something like the stock is a critical resistance level. That if it's, did you say 125? That if it hits over that, it's a good sign.
I think near term. Yeah, I think near term closing strong over 125 was a critical, near term level. And I think somewhere, between where we're at today and 150 is probably the next, biggest area of resistance. So there's kind of smooth sailing up from here. Not saying that would happen, but that's just really just technically looking at some of the supply data in terms of the stock. But yeah, this is an important move today, the first trading day of the week. And obviously there's been a lot of news and information to absorb over the last several days, and I think that's what people are doing.
Okay, so Christian, you have to keep the beard, and every day that it keeps going up, you can only shave it if you want to, only if it goes out.
I will, but it starts getting itchy. I'll try my best.
Are you going to do it? Okay. If it goes up tomorrow. Yeah, the day after.
Yeah.
No,
so what are the good news?
Yeah. I like what
people
Jeff
would volunteer to itch it for you. I'm just saying. I don't know.
So do you guys think that the price cuts is several days afterwards, people are starting to realize it's actually really good news, and that's why it went up today?
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. When that came out, initially, most people thought it would go down on that news big, right? But I was thinking, no, this is going to be a consolidation in here because people are going to realize that Tesla has the pricing power, right? You have two kinds of pricing power. You have it on the upside where you could charge more because everybody wants your product, but you also pricing power is on the downside, right? We can lower because we got the margins to play with and the other autos don't. So I think Tesla really took it, put the hammer down and said, hey, we're going to lower our prices. Not only are we going to lower our prices, we got the IRA, which makes them even lower. So we got margin to play with. Like Elon said, we're going to go for volumes and maybe we take a little hit on the margins, but that's okay. Because now, like the valuations come in, and I think the auto business is fair value, and now we have the energy business. So that's what I'm looking at with the community. I don't need anything magical to happen, but I want to see growth in that energy. Mega pack storage deployed, going up significantly, and then talk about it next year as being a driver, right? Because we're hearing all this news, but we need to see it in the financials. So I think if energy could come along, the valuation looks so compelling here because not only do you have the auto business that's been valued at $1 trillion before, even though it might have been a lofty level, we can get this energy business in, and now the story just becomes a completely different story on Wall Street because they can value a whole different business. So I think it's important.
Yeah,
The analysts have estimated only a negative 3% hit on the earnings for 2023. That's what we saw just recently. But is that going to stick? Yeah. Sorry, Xander, what were you going to say?
No problem. I think also today's stock increase was obviously because people understand that the higher volume, which seems to be confirmed. I mean, I've seen a couple of articles saying they checked in the stores. There seems to be already, no more inventory, short wait times building up. So I think people understand this is just going to be much higher volume. I always want to insist, and I do that today again, those that want a Model 3 and want that 7,500 tax credit do it in the first quarter. There is no guarantee that it will still be available in the second quarter. That's why Tesla everywhere makes sure they put that this is up to March. Why? Because the Model 3 standard range, which is obviously the product for the most price conscious client, and the one that may want to have those 7,500 on top of it, is with LFP batteries, and those are not in the original IRA tax. They're not included. They shouldn't get this. They're getting it at the moment because the IRS is just such a mess and put out a list and said, what the heck, we don't care at the moment about battery quality and where they come from and whatever. But that may change. That most probably will change on the 1st of April. So I do believe we'll have an excellent first quarter in Model 3 sales if they can produce, and I think they are switching and putting them out as quickly as they can. That may also be a question for fleets, right? There are so many fleets built on Model 3. They have a much higher credit. So if they can get it in this first quarter, believe me, they're going to get it. So I think this trickles through. I'm not even sure they're at margins yet. We did this projection, Herbert. We talked about it, I think, in a space over the weekend, that margins may come down just below 25%. That is still enormous and will be largely compensated by the increased volume. So I'm still very, very positive on Q1. And just to address Christian on the energy level, I do believe energy will come in. I just want to be very cautious. I don't think we'll see a big jump here in Q4 2022, the ones we see next Wednesday, just because it's too early. There seems to be these recognition delays of earnings on energy that are important. And so let's not hype it up too quickly. It will come over the next 8 quarters. There's no doubt, just a matter of how quickly they will be recognized.
Yeah. Fair enough. And real quick before you jump in, Herbert, I think today a little bit of the stock move was maybe a little bit of relief, because in China, if you remember, the weekly insured units came out, and I think they did 12,000 plus. So the week before was 2,000 plus. So with the price cuts in China, it showed that demand rebounded, right? So that was a great sign. I think that was some relief that, China demand is there at these new price levels and we can go forward. But that was a big number, I think, for psychology to say, hey, Tesla's demand is there with these price cuts. So I think that was important.
I'm calling Xander right now on my phone.
Do it and take me off the main screen. I don't know why I'm here.
I'm calling him right
Xander,
now.
Where are you?
It's ringing. Come on. Where the fuck are you, buddy? Get up here. You promised me. Now you're leaving me in the dust. All right. He's not doing it.
He doesn't even take the phone. Xander.
Sorry, guys. Wait. Here's phone number.
Beep, beep, beep.
Xander, holy cow. Get on the show right now, man. We're all waiting for you. You're making me look like I promised something and you're not here. Get here now. All right. So, okay, question for you guys, right? So, earnings calls next Wednesday. I did a poll and I asked people, what are they going to say with regards to guidance? Are they going to say still at 50%? Are they going to say more than 50%? Are they going to say under 50%? Or they're just going to not give a guidance at all? What do you think, Jeff?
I think companies are going to do one of two things. I think this may be an important macro segue as well. I think they're either going to withhold guidance for the full year, or they're going to guide lower. I don't see companies necessarily guiding any higher in this environment, but they may withhold guidance just due to uncertainty. You're like, what is the Fed going to do? What's going on with the economy? There's a lot of uncertainty. When there's uncertainty, sometimes companies withhold guidance as a measure.
By the way, when I did that poll, 50%, about 45% said they're going to just keep 50%. And then 25% said there's going to be higher than 50%. 25% said it was, or whatever, less than that. Only 11% said no guidance.
Yeah. I think I'll disagree a little bit with Jeff here. I think they will guide. Now, I don't know if they're going to guide their normal 50%, because what they could do, and people have kind of mentioned this, right? They could say we guided 50% on average over a number of years, right? So the 1 year they did like 80%, and then this year's 40. So if you average them together, they're still doing their 50. So Tesla might say, hey, this year maybe we're closer to 40, but our average of the 50 still holds. So once we get in a better interest rate environment, and once the Fed is done and we go back to maybe some normal times, the 50% becomes more doable. So I don't know if they'll nuance it that much. Jeff might be 100% right, but I think they should give maybe some guidance, unless they don't know the demand. And with the lower prices, not to guide would almost be a signal of weakness to me. So with these lower prices, they should be able to guide something, 40% growth or 45%, but we believe we can do 50, some type of nuance, just to reassure Wall Street investors that the unit growth and the demand is there at these lower prices. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm tiptoeing around the subject a little bit. I'm actually very bizarre on this call. Not even sure Elon will show up. I think he should show up, but on the other side, maybe it's actually going to be much quieter and much less questions on Twitter and all the rest. It did calm down. I just don't want to wake it up again. But on the guidance thing is, they have been guiding too aggressively. I find it's always much better to guide a little bit under what you can do, and then exceed expectations, right? That's not Tesla's way of thinking. That's not Elon's way of thinking. I get that. But on the other side, in these later spaces, he was all the way the other end, right? If we have to sell without margin, we will sell without margin because we want the quantity of cars, right? So I just feel the pendulum is just swinging from one scenario, we're doing 50% every year, or maybe it's over multiple years or whatever, to, oh my God, this recession is going to be so strong. It's a little bit exaggerated in both senses. So somehow I do feel like, Jeff, I'd rather be better off having no guidance, because it just, this whole expectation games. Oh, is it now 1,345,000 or 46? And what the heck, right? But you're right, Christian, and that's why I'm tiptoeing around the subject. Wall Street wants numbers, right? They want to write something down, so then they can say, oh, it's above or it's below. So if you want to write something down a little bit lower, will maybe be a bit painful for a couple of days, but then for the rest of the year, give us much more room to improve.
Why would it be lower?
I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, why would it be lower if they had the price cuts and we're seeing things are going to be? Some people are now saying over 2 million earnings.
No, lower than what they know they will do. Not lower than last year, of course not, or not lower than 50%. But the thing is that they know they will do 2 million. I'm convinced they are going for the 2 million number as hard as anybody would. But rather than saying we're going for 2 million and then maybe it's 1,957,000 and everybody's having a heart attack again, just tone it down a little bit. And then if you make those 2 million, we'll all be very happy about it.
But I agree, but I think you have to give some guidance. So whether it's 40%, 35%, here's why. Tesla's already guided over a long period of time that they're going to do 20 million vehicles, right? So that's a long way out, but they've guided that we're going to do 50% average over years. So they've already given us some guidance. So if there's a material change of that guidance, they're going to have to let us know it's no longer 50% even average on year. Right? If they mention nothing, you can't have the call without some type of mention to it. So they don't have to give specific units, Jeff. Right. So I'll let Jeff go real quick. But
I was just going to say
something, 40%, 35%, something they could jump over. And if they go way over, great. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, maybe I'm coming around a little bit to that, but Tesla normally keeps things brief. So I can see them saying, like, look, we've been guiding 50% growth. Some years will be higher, some will be lower. This year, given uncertainties going on with macro, it may be lower. However, look at what we're doing on the CapEx side. On the CapEx side and the labor side, they're bringing in for 50% growth. That's already installed.
And I give you completely that. And that's why I actually think that's the side of me. And again, I'm tiptoeing around it. I'm not decided, but that's why I'm tiptoeing around going, maybe Elon will not be there. Don't forget, we have 4 important dates all 6 weeks apart. We have next Wednesday, then we have the 1st of March, where Elon will be there. I mean, he's going to talk product and assembly lines and cap allocations and everything then. Then we have the Q1s in the 3rd week of April. And then middle of May, we have the shareholder meeting. do we really believe Elon will be at all four? Having to say at all four new stuff so that Wall Street is happy and whatever. I have this gut feeling, I may be completely wrong, that this Q1 call, where there won't be that much on energy, but there will be, this will be margin talk, this will be whatever. It might just go smoother, shorter, quickly forgotten. If it's only Zach, he speaks their language. It will be very technical, blah, blah, blah. Products, wait for 1st of March. We're going to do a great thing on 1st of March. Let's not talk products. Let's talk finance, over. And the whole thing, I don't expect much of this in earnings call in terms of good news. And I just would like it to go away. And in that sense, Elon not being there may be the way of just getting it off. But then my other side says, come on, everybody will scream, he's not looking after Tesla anymore. Where is he? Blah, blah, blah. So you have this conflicting situation.
He's got to be there. I think he's got to be there. He's got to. 2, you got to guide. I hear what Jeff's saying, but if you think that Wall Street is going to get installed capacity, no. They want a number. Even if you say, hey, this year with the macro, we might be on our lower trajectory, like 40% again, like we did this year, fair enough. But you can't not answer that question or dodge it. That will look like you're hiding something and you don't have the demand. It will just look that way. Your stock will get crushed. So they need to answer the question. They can't go through the whole call and not guide how many units they might deliver, especially with these reduced prices. That's just my opinion.
And if they say we're just sticking to our multi-year guidance that we always did, well, then that's that, because the multi-year guidance, we all know it really depends where you put the base, right? If you put the base in 2020, we're largely good, right? And then nobody can.
That makes the most sense, right? Because they've always said that this is multi-year, around 50%, some years lower, some years higher. And this is the year where it's lower because of a macro recession.
Just hedge it.
I do think, though, that what I'm excited about next week is that I think they're going to say something about the China price cuts, or the global price cuts. I'm sorry. Got to catch up here. Global price cuts, they're going to say something about that. And then may say something about, but yes, we are preparing for a recession and maybe softer this year. I'd be very happy with that statement. But they should, say that this price cuts is working, and we're seeing, we're pretty well, something like we're sold out already, or, in one day we've hit our quarter numbers, which is some stores are reporting such. So
and I think
getting
that's it.
very
that's
optimistic.
That's why I want it as concentrated on the financials as possible. Wait times, inventory, margins, what were the Q4 results, how they're currently evolving the first 3 weeks in January, full stop. Products, 1st of March. Any shareholder stuff, middle of May. So I really would like them to walk it very safe on this earnings call. I
got a comment.
Yeah.
I got a comment from somebody asking, earnings call, they're going to have the Say platform. What questions would you guys want to ask that you want them to answer?
Yeah, one question I would have. Oh, sorry. One question was around you talk, if Elon's on the call, you talk about the economy, you talk about the concerns, the Fed and so forth. Why did you physically install 2 million units of capacity and physically bring in the labor to build an annualized 2 million units of capacity then? I mean, that'd be an interesting question to get answered.
Yeah.
Me, it's how is Mega Pack recognition happening? When do you recognize them? I just want to understand more, because there is so much money coming from this energy sector that completely will change all our models. And at the moment, we just have no knowledge how quickly this will be in the financials.
For me, it's probably just margins. I think Zach would probably touch on it. How much is margin compression going to be with the price cuts? I think if you could just give a general answer to reassure that, even where we are right now, if things stay the same and rates are hovering around here, we could, do 20%, and he could lowball it. We'll do minimum 20% margins. That, again, just another reassuring to Wall Street that we're going to be profitable even with the price cuts, and significantly profitable.
Yeah. Wall Street's at 25.2. consensus gross margin in Q1.
Right. I'm just giving you a number. Hopefully it's higher, but I'm saying he should.
But they
you have
haven't
to talk
adjusted.
about it. Right. You have to talk about it.
Yeah.
There's no
they
way you
haven't
can get through the
adjusted.
call. Yeah.
The only
Yeah. Maybe
question
it'll
I
come
think
down. Who knows?
that we can ask is exactly what Christian's saying, the margin and expectations for margin. Just, some statement about that we feel like what we saw the Chinese executives say that, because of automation and the scaling, we're now able to adjust to this price cuts. We're able to lower that, because I think that any other question, they're just going to punt it till the March 1st investor day. Anything to do with scaling, master plan part 3, products, all that. They'll just say, we've got that plan. It's going to be presented,
Yeah.
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 Do you guys see the Cybertruck interview with Franz? I'm just so happy right now. I don't know why, but even though the price is where it is, the stock price is where it is now, am I right or feeling that it feels like things have turned? Am I getting too optimistic too soon?
I think you should talk to your wife. Maybe this is the moment to buy. Remember, you're still waiting, but don't wait too much, or at least start slowly to get into it. I listened after our space on that Saturday where you'd already discussed most of it. So I sort of learned it by you and then got reaffirmed by the talk they published. It's really nice to see. What is he doing, Christian? He just wants to show his beard in another angle.
He's trying to move it closer. Look, I have a beard.
No, the microphone went out. I had to unplug. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. So I listened to it afterwards, knowing what was in it, and I found it fascinating for a couple of things. So they do accept that their icon designer, Franz is really, the icon designer of America today, just sits down with a YouTuber. Ryan is great, no doubt about it, but just takes his time and walks us through this. I think it's absolutely amazing. Who else does that? It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Did you guys? What's your opinion?
Yeah, no, there was a lot of good information. Sorry, Christian, must be a delay. There must be a lot of, there's a lot of good information about timing. There's good information regarding, some features and things that they're thinking about. I've even seen some follow-up articles regarding, scratch resistant or scratch repair on the body and the housing being very simple, straightforward. So I think when there's a release event or a launch event for this product, I think we're going to be astounded by some of the features that this car has and what this new construction or new platform enables, this new cyber platform that I believe enables. So I'm pretty excited about it. You look at the reservation strength, even if that were cut in half or cut, by 2/3, it's probably the most reserved vehicle, and maybe in dollars, the most dollars around pre-order of anything ever sold in history. I don't know. Someone have to do some homework on that. But it's pretty amazing. So we'll see what that turns out to be. But I'm getting more and more excited about the product from a understanding product development and times in scales and schedules. I would like to see more of these being field tested. Maybe they're doing this under wraps, but this is kind of a hard vehicle to camouflage. But maybe they're doing some testing just away from everyone where no one can see it. But I'd love to see this more on the roads, more on the streets. I like to see it be a daily driver for Elon in terms of his car. I know he doesn't do a lot of driving these days. He's more flying between locations. And I'd love to see them testing this product more, because that would tell me it's getting closer and closer to production. And then following the production line install information is also telling you it's getting closer, and hearing them ramp up personnel in the factory tells me it's getting imminently closer. So schedule was exciting.
Herbert, I seem to have a lag. I'm going to pull out and be back in 2 minutes. I just reboot. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So for me, exactly what you just said, Jeff, if there is continued signals that this Cybertruck is still on schedule, or at the very least, not delayed beyond this year, but I do want it to come in June. I want it to come by October. And we are seeing all the signals. We're seeing a lot of good signs. And so, I might have read a little bit too much in Franz's answer of, the design is locked and it's ready to go and everything is on schedule. I didn't, when I hear him talk, I hear on schedule, but actually that's not what he said. But I read a little too much into it, so I really do hope that that's the case, because I think that's a very, very big catalyst, and I do think that it's going to make a difference. And so it's like people are saying, Tesla has not had a new vehicle out in many years, besides the Semi, which is also pretty big. So it's just another sign that Tesla is moving. It's firing along, moving along, making progress and continued progress. And this is going to be yet another massive lineup. So that's what I'm most excited about. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way I look at it, I hear what you're saying for the stock, like if it comes out early and everything. I do everything backwards now, again, with Tesla. I expect delays. So I already baked in the Cybertruck's going to be late. I'm just saying that's the way I think about it now, because I'm like, okay, so what? It's late. The stock's already been okay. If it's late a little bit, it doesn't matter. If they're pumping Model Ys and they're pumping Model 3s and even those units and they announce another Giga, like, yeah, it'll be upsetting to people that want a Cybertruck, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter if it's a month or two short, other than, because it's already been delayed. They've already pushed it back. So, it is a new product. It's a whole new line. It's a whole new, I don't think anything like this has ever been attempted in the history of automobiles, right? So this is, you got to give them some leeway with this kind of product. It's going to be a great product, but they got to get it right. You don't want to rush it and get it wrong and just have a total nightmare in the beginning. Just my opinion.
Yeah, when I hear the competition is coming, I've said this too on Twitter. I keep floating out of the frame. The competition, they're coming for Tesla designs from 2017, 2016, 2017, 2018. Now you're going to see this 2023 platform of vehicles with much fewer components, totally different manufacturing technique to build a product. And I think it's going to take years for the competition to catch up to this. And when they catch up to it, what's Tesla going to be on? They're going to be on their Gen 4 platform. And I think the Gen 3 platform, I think they're going to talk about it a little bit on Investor Day. I think it's way more than just the physical. I think the autopilot hardware is going to be updated along with that release. I believe new UI in the car as well, new user interface. So I think Gen 3 is going to be more than just, which is a huge hardware update on the car platform. I think user interface, I think software features, and autopilot. I think there's going to be many updates in Gen 3. They're going to be very
Let's
exciting.
talk about competition. So with the price cuts, we're starting to hear that there's actually, was it XPeng that went and had starting a price war? They lowered their prices by $6,000 US. We heard there's one car company in China that went out of business. I can't remember their name. They had a really long, weird name. And what's your what are you seeing with the competition? I think people are in the Reddit boards talking about Mach-E buyers now abandoning that and wanting to buy Tesla. These are all right now anecdotal, but what have you guys been hearing?
Yeah, in my opinion, there's still no.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick. I don't think there's any competition in the U.S. I said that before. 70 might go to 65, but Mach-E's, they're not selling them at scale, and I don't know that they even can. Right? I don't think they're profitable on it. The Lightning, I think they will make a bigger push, but they're not even ramping that as aggressively as they should. I saw Farley. He's starting to try to pull an Elon. Farley, I saw on Twitter. He's interacting. He's getting back with people. Are asking him, hey, we need some Lightning up in Canada. He's like checking. He's like channeling his inner Elon. It's the funniest thing in the world. So I give him credit for interacting, but I wouldn't expect that kind of interaction. I know he's done it in the past, but now he's doing it a little bit more, and he's doing a little bit more with pizzazz. So that's interesting. So it looks like he's trying. Ford's trying to do something, but they just don't have scale. There's no way Mach-E is going to compete with Model Y. They can't do it on price. They can't do it on units. They just can't do it. And guess what? It's not a good product. Model Y is a way better product for the money. So, they're going to sell, because people that want an electric vehicle and don't like a Tesla, they'll buy a Mach-E. But it's not going to be in grand numbers. So I think Tesla, the U.S. market, I think is theirs. It's theirs to lose. If they lose it, it's their own fault. It's right there for them. and it's not like China where they got a lot of good players. It's theirs, and it's theirs for a while. They just gotta ramp and take it.
Yeah, they clearly have the pricing power. They have the brand in EV, trusted brand in EV. And again, I think the competition, both China and domestic, and even Europe, they're going after the 4 or 5 year old designs and model and approach from Tesla, and they're even behind on that. They're behind from a scale perspective. They're behind from a cost structure. Their cost structure, we've seen the numbers. It's anywhere from 4 to 8 times more operating profit per vehicle for Tesla versus the competition. So they're behind trying to compete with 5-year-old Tesla models and their designs. And now when Tesla goes to this new Gen 3 platform, I think the gap is going to widen. So I think there will be more auto OEMs either asking for assistance from their local government or going into some form of structured bankruptcy that they have to deal with. And again, if you look at the whole network and the supply chains and everything that's involved, because you look at the auto OEM, there's so much that goes behind it. And I'd have to think, if I'm a supplier in the auto industry, if I'm making springs, if I'm making if I'm a raw material supplier to them, I'm going to feel a lot better about when Tesla sends me their demand signal versus when I get a demand signal from a Ford or from a GM. And there's many reasons for that. One is Tesla's consistently growing, but also there's so many different models and SKUs at these other suppliers. I honestly don't think they know how to forecast. And when your macro is shrinking, like if we are entering a recession, we're gonna have a pullback. It's gonna be even harder for them to forecast their demand.
And Jeff, can you answer
Okay.
the price elasticity curve? When they lower the prices as much as they did, I mean, I was shocked. Weren't you guys shocked how much they went down? It wasn't just a 5,000 or 6,000, in some cases 15,000, 20,000 reduction. That is massive. And then what happens to the demand because of that? Like, everybody talks about it's a curve, but do you have somebody with a supply chain distribution background? What's your comment on that?
Yeah, no, I guarantee you inside of Tesla, they have people that are modeling this and looking at the sellout rates at various price levels. And it's also regional as well. It's regional, geography is very important in that. I'm certain they're modeling it, and I'm certain it's almost exponential as you go down in price in terms of what happens with demand. And so now they've pushed all these vehicles from the 60K range, to the 50s and almost into through and below into the 40s, where you can get most highly configured Teslas now, and even below that. Now you factor in the IRA. These are gigantic jumps. I mean, the IRA is anywhere from a 15 to 20% jump depending on which Tesla you're buying. So these moves are actually hard to model. I think it's going to take them weeks to understand the full elasticity and see how it plays out. And I think they're going to have very good information for the earnings call. Actually, I think they're going to have a couple of weeks of information, and that's going to really help them with their guidance.
Yeah, I just want to speak to, like, some of the bear case on Tesla is they need more SKUs. And I'm the complete opposite on that. I think this new generation, the millennial generation, who's going to be the buyers, that whatever, 30 to, the people coming into money now and want a new vehicle. They don't want what my generation and the older generation, they don't need 30 SKUs from Oldsmobile. Forget all that. What they want, it's just like, you have an iPhone, you have, an iWatch, like whatever. They don't want 50 brands. They just want the product that they love. And they're not really trying to distinguish, in my opinion, my car looks a little different. No, they just want the product. And then they could do little things if they want to make it unique to them. But I think they got that whole wrong. Old legacy thinking you need all these SKUs. Yeah. And like Jeff was saying, and I'm not an expert, I just have to think, if you just keep it simple, just like the interior, the minimalism, if you keep the design, you can update it here and there and make it a little fresh. But if you keep that in the park and you just keep scaling and going, you have the demand for the product. It's only a few years that the Model Y's been out. It's not like it's been out for 10 years. Like, you got room to run here, especially with the price cuts. So the bears that say, Tesla needs 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, no, that just, like Jeff always says, adds the complexity, adds some more problems, and they don't need it. They have the demand for the existing products. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, well, what I want to say is that I actually am very, very surprised because they, oops, there you go. Because instead of reducing the price, which is what they did, a price cut, why didn't they come up with a price, a sort of a variant, a Model 3, and have, you know, less features in it so that they can sell even lower? I fully expect that might still even happen this year.
I think it will. You will see.
Not Project Highland. Are you talking Project Highland or something similar?
No, I think they'll release different configurations, either software controlled, or they may take some hardware out of the cars. But I think they will produce vehicles that have lower cost structures. Because then they're trying to grow volume, is what they're trying to do.
My face looks like I'm too white, too much light, or too little light.
You look like a ghost. You look like you've been run over by a truck. You look like a mess. Just, you know.
Oh, look at that boss chair. Did you see that?
See my boss chair?
That's no boss chair. I'll show you.
Well, my main chair.
Okay, show us your chair. Show us your
chair. That's a little
Christian.
Kid chair.
Come on. Get your butt off the chair and show us
I have a real boss chair in the office. This is just like...
So,
it's an
why
old-fashioned chair.
From the office? Why are you streaming from your hallway? Tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
The lighting's better in here.
Sure.
Oh, for the beard. So we
yes,
can see
exactly.
Oh, okay.
You got to get Herbert's ratings up. You got to get Herbert's ratings up.
So
we were talking about variants.
Why does Jeff have a second chair in the back of himself, or is that a picture?
Right.
That's the real boss.
It's a chair. That's a real chair.
That's a real chair. I love that chair. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it looks like.
Okay, Halbert, now you've got to go.
Yeah, we were talking about variants, and I do think that they might come out with a new Model 3, like Jeff is saying, and then even lower the price even more. Like, why do you need to have this compact car if you can just take your Model 3 and create different variants on it, right? Another $5,000 down.
Does any of you drive a Model 3?
I do. Love it.
Okay.
I don't. I've owned a Y, and I've rented a 3.
Don't you think
I love the
3 is small? I mean, I'm tall and I'm an old lady, right? So I feel the 3 is not the optimum car for mass market. I love it. I think it's a little Porsche. I think I love the car. That's not what I'm saying, but I think
totally disagree.
Yeah. Oh, good. Go ahead. Tell me.
No, I think the Model 3 is the mass market car. I don't think it's too small. So my issue was that I've got a BMW 535 Xi, and it's like a boat. This thing is massive. I hate driving this thing. And my wife's going, that's an executive car. You should, I'm like, I hate this thing. I love the Model.
I want to meet Herbert's wife.
You should meet her. She's pretty well better than producer wife or Farzad. We should have a wife off. You guys will fall in love with my wife.
I love Cindy.
Trust you.
I love Cindy.
Yeah. So, but Model 3 for me, I love that it's smaller. I just like the zip in, zip out, and it's so great. Everybody in my family loves it. I just think it is the mass market car. So why would you even make a smaller compact car with that? It is already perfect.
Higher and shorter. More of a hatchback, going shopping, having the kids in Europe. I put the kids in the back chair. I know, maybe I'm just too European. You're right, Jeff. That's probably it.
In Europe, Europe 3 is not a compact car. They need a smaller, more compact car.
3 is a nice car in Europe. Yeah.
3 is actually to me closer to a 5 Series than the 3 Series.
Yeah. It's like a Porsche. It's a 911. I had a Porsche and I loved it. And it's the same when I get into the 3. We have a 3 in front of my door. And I prefer going with the X, but when I go into 3, I feel like with the Porsche, I'm diving in there, I'm lying in there, I'm completely different position. If I would have grandkids, I don't have grandkids, but if I had grandkids, I would have a problem putting them on the back seat. I find the trunk not big enough for what I need, right? I'm traveling with 2 suitcases and much too much stuff. I just think there is a need for a more family size shopping car, have a dog, have kids, whatever model.
Cybertruck.
Of course. But we're talking. How do we get to a cheaper model, mass market? And I just think I see a niche there. But I may be. Brighter wife. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I know.
Brighter wife.
Grace. Yeah, Grace said brighter wife, and I'm gonna go. Yeah, brighter wife is better than producer wife. Let's go.
And
Let's
anyway,
go,
I think the
Farzad.
world's changing. I think the world's changing. Nobody's getting married. Nobody's having kids.
I know.
Just they're going to buy the 3 and forget about it. They don't need room. Nobody needs room. Nobody, like, minimalism is taken over. Everything is getting so expensive that nobody wants to have children. Nobody wants to put them through college. Like, I'm not making a judgment on it. What I'm saying is the 3 and the Y serve its niche, right? So if you want to then go to the work truck, and for style, the Cybertruck, people that would never buy an SUV but now love a Cybertruck either for the design or just because it's a beast, they have that segment, right? And then you can do things to change it up, but you don't need to make a whole new car, a whole new SKU, right?
Do you expect do you expect a Cybertruck below $40,000?
Probably not that cheap, but remember, the SUV gets the credit under 80 thou. So if they could somehow get that Cybertruck cost effective, they're going to get the credit. Even I think some people are pricing it higher, but if they could come under 80 grand, that's going to qualify for the 7,500 tax credit. So that also makes it cheaper if they could get it under that sticker price. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think the 3 now is getting cheap enough with the 7,500. Like, what are you like? I guess if Elon's vision is, if they can't do FSD and cars, it's going to take longer. I still think at that price point with the 7,500, you're coming down. You're in the 30s now, and then with the gas savings, no oil changes, no whatever that, like, you're going to save thousands a year. It costs thousands to go do that stuff. Your maintenance is going way down.
My counter argument is, are you going after the GM Bolt customer who gets it currently the lowest range at 27,500, right? If that is your competitor in that range, what do you
Nobody
do?
wants that car. I'm not even worried about that. Nobody's going to buy that at scale. No one's going to buy it because the 3 is much more enjoyable to drive, and what you're getting compared to that ugly looking thing. I mean, the Model 3 to me is a beautiful car. I think it's beautiful.
It is.
I think it's better than the Y. When I see a 3, I love the 3. The look of the 3 better than the Y. Even though they're similar, I love the 3 look.
Me too.
And it's zippier to drive and things of that nature. So I don't think they're going to have a problem selling the 3. And people are sleeping on the 3. I think the 3 is going to still be a big hit in the country.
I agree that the Bolt is not an attractive car, and it's a utility for people to buy it down that range. But I do believe that there's a tremendous amount of demand in that price range. And if Tesla does a very nice looking design at that range that they can get there from a cost structure perspective, it will be the highest selling car Tesla's ever made. Yeah,
that will be the Beetle of this generation. It will be.
There you go. Nice.
So I have a question. I have a quick question, Herbert. This was important. A couple years ago, when Shanghai was starting to rock, and Elon went over there, and he was doing his dance.
Here.
He said something. Hey, Xander.
Where?
But look
real
at the
quick,
comment.
I'll get the question out, and then wait for Xander. So then he said, we have to go lower, like whatever, the Model 2, whatever you want to call it. We have to do it. And he specifically said in China, we have to do it. That was in 2019, 2020, whenever. Where is that car? Did they decide against that? So Jeff, Alexandra, he mentioned it. And he said, we're going to do it. We have to do it. I remember it's like seared in my brain that moment. We're going to do it. We have to do it. Where is that car? Is it being worked on?
I believe it is. I believe it's being designed. I believe it's being designed in China with obviously oversight and input from the design team in the US and the powertrain team in the US. But I believe they're trying to locally design a car that they can build in China for the local market and then export
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, everything.
I
guess they just don't want to Osborne it, though. They don't want to Osborne it and let that leak, right? Because then they're not going to sell it.
Exactly. And it will be sold in China and in Europe.
Right. Because that's got to be close. He talked about that like 2 years ago.
Well,
I mean, he's closer. It's got to be coming like in the next, I don't know, year
40
or 2.
days. 40 days to the 1st of March. And then your curiosity will be there. What is Xander doing?
I don't see him.
Okay. All right, I got a question for you
He's
guys.
like
Okay.
the president. You can't get a hold of this kid. It's impossible. He's too popular. He's got too many things going on.
But he's nice compared to some others. He's nice. He's just nice.
Herbert's nice. Herbert's nice. I'm
nice.
going to say that, Alexander.
I tried
Herbert's
to do
nice.
it when you had the water in the mouth. I was just a little bit too late.
I will defend Herbert. He's a nice guy.
Thank you, guys. All right. I want the stock to go up. I want it to go up. I want to know when it's going to rebound.
And you're not buying. It hit 101.
I want to know when it's going to rebound.
And you're not doing anything. I told you to start dollar cost averaging. You're waiting for what? I don't know what you're waiting for.
He's waiting.
You missed a 30% move off the bottom. Let me repeat. You missed a 30% move off the bottom.
I explained to you what was happening. Okay, can we not? Okay, look. Yeah, as Xander goes, water.
I gotta entertain the show up here. We gotta get lively now.
Okay, we'll cover again what I'm doing, but okay, I want the stock to rebound. Okay, and as far as I know, Alexander and I believe it's going to be a soft landing. We are predicting it's going to be a 0.25%, 0.25% interest rate hike next, another maybe 0.25, and then that's it. And now that you are doomsday, you are saying that it's going to be different, but let's assume that this is what's going to happen. If this is what happens in this quarter, what will it take for Tesla to finally rebound if that is what they're seeing in the macro, right?
Yeah. So I want to clear up. Alexandra might be right. You might be right, Herbert. I'm not saying soft landing is not possible. What I'm saying is you need to be cognizant of the fact that it might not be a soft landing. It could be a moderate to severe recession. I've done lots of polls on it, and it's very anecdotal, but I'm getting a lot of people saying it's more moderate, severe, rather than soft landing, no problem. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, when I talk about macro, it's not immaterial. It's irrespective of Tesla. Tesla, the stock, could still do very fine in a tough macro because it's going to show its dominance, especially with those price cuts. So when I speak macro in a negative way, I don't mean that it affects Tesla. It might because of liquidity and things of that. It could, but I'm not really directing myself at Tesla. I'm just talking about macro in general for the stock market in general. So 100% soft. I'm hoping for a soft landing. I think it's absolutely possible. But I'll just say real quick, I think if you think the Fed, maybe they could do it. If they can engineer this, after screwing up so much in the past, screwing up, transitory, all these things, and they could land this plane without barely a scratch, I will say bravo to them. And I didn't think they could do it. I'm on the record now. I don't think they can do it. But if they do it, my hat's off to them because they did an amazing job. And I'll just say it. I don't think they can do it without causing a recession, but I could be wrong. So.
Okay, and you know why I think they will do it? It's because somebody holds them really where it hurts, and that is DC. Why does DC hold them so badly there? Because currently treasury bills are exploding. They're a big part, more than 30% of the refinancing debt. At the current interest rates, we're getting to the debt ceiling very quickly. We'll be there in June. And that would mean a major reshuffle in a split Congress. Impossible. We cannot get this done politically. So they're already starting to discuss, can we change the definition a bit? Like, put the comma from here to there and whatever. But even that is highly unlikely. So the Democrats are not going to go into this summer with a situation where everything will be frozen because we can't raise the debt ceiling. So there is going to be enormous political pressure in the next 4 or 5 months on the Fed to solve this now. And the only thing, and I keep insisting on that doesn't work currently in their favor, there are actually two things that don't work in their favor. The job market is still strong. It's surprisingly strong, and house prices don't come down quick enough. It starts now, but the thing is, a seller who has a 3% mortgage is not going to sell his house. He will think 3 times before he takes a job offer 500 miles away, because that means he has to sell a house and refinance the next one at 7%, and that he doesn't want to do that. So it actually keeps people the sellers locked in on where they are, just thinking, you know what, we're sitting this out, doesn't matter, we're not in a hurry, we're not taking this job offer. And the buyer goes, I'm not moving anywhere because at 7%, I don't get anything. So the market's just dried out. And so I don't think they can really just sit it out now, the Fed, and hope that this housing market stabilizes, because it's frozen. So I had this discussion with Gary, who told me, yeah, but you have to look at the relationship between rents and house prices, because it's softer, it moves quicker. I understand that. I mean, I try to understand that, but I just don't think the Fed has anymore the leisure to be that fine-tuned and hope that, rents catch up with prices, blah, 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 all the rest. I think they are at the moment under enormous pressure from DC, telling them, you got to move slowly. So I think the next move is still up 25 basis points, just to show that we're still on it, reassure everybody. I even have a doubt on the second one of 25 basis points. And I think the tone will completely switch as from April onwards.
Yeah. And there's a question too, from that point of, well, how long are they going to leave it up there? I mean, these are fairly high rates. Yeah. So that's the other question of, one is like, when are you going to stop? The second question is, well, how long are you going to leave it there? And what are the triggers to reduce it? I do agree that we are entering a political season. If you think of it, as we get closer to the second half of this year, the presidential race for 24 is really going to heat up. Definitely by the end of the year, we'll be a year away. If you think about it, end of this year, we'll be a year away from electing a new president, new Senate. There's many Senate seats up for re-election. Of course, Congress as well. Yeah. And yeah, I know seems like we just got out of it, but I do think politics is going to play a part. I mean, the question to me though is like, is this the right time to buy a certain equity in the market? One of the questions I always try to ask people is, do you think the market's done? You think it's hit its low? You think 34 and change on the S&P was the low, or will it revisit the 34 and change on the S&P? Because if it does, it's got 20% to move lower from where it is today. So you have to think about that. Or is it going to overshoot? Is there going to be something happens that Christian says, like, is something going to break? Where then it goes down and it overshoots, and that's where you kind of want to be thinking about that.
Yeah. And we'll see earnings now. Obviously, the earnings in next 4 weeks are going to be crucial, because, remember when we had that earnings call with Netflix, which was so much down, when was that, 3 quarters ago? Yeah. And then everything started to unmantle. We could have another of these elements. If Apple really didn't sell as well as they pretend still they do, that could be a major move again on the stock. So it's not all Tesla. Still, I do believe the fundamentals of Tesla are much better than of anybody else, Christian. That there is no doubt about it. The question still is this a level where you want to go all in if you have a big amount like Brighter Mama, or do you want to sit it still out a little bit, right?
Well, right. But so I'll go with macro, then I'll go to Tesla. So I'll give my little synopsis on why I think the Fed's in a box and why they can't do the soft landing. Right now, inflation's still relatively high, over 6%, right? And usually the market always, and you could see it when they're parsing Powell's words, every little thing, they want to rally, but Jay Powell keeps telling you, no, you don't understand. We're serious. We need to get inflation down, price stability. That's their mandate. They've got rid of the other mandate. Actually, they want unemployment to go up. So to bring inflation down, they are 100% laser focused. So when I say that Fed can't do it, is because as they keep going and they keep hiking, and they said higher for longer, meaning the economy, they want it to get weaker. And if the stock market rallies, which it's kind of doing now, and if unemployment stays sticky and wages stay sticky, they got to keep on it, because inflation won't come down fast enough. And the worry for me is, as it keeps going on, if the Fed doesn't recognize inflation's coming down faster than they think, what's going to happen is there's already people that have not come back from the pandemic that aren't working. You could have a situation where you get deflation, and we've kind of already seen some signs of it with Tesla, where the people just aren't going to buy the high ticket items. So you could see deflation in housing, right? You see deflation in all these other things. And what's happened? Where do most people have their wealth and their net worth? It's really in their house. So once they open up their statement and their 401ks, they kind of did for last year, they're going to feel the wealth effect, but reversed. It used to be the Fed wanted to get inflation because they couldn't get it over 2%. Now they want to do the opposite. They want to make you feel poor. And as people, see what's been occurring. They're not going to spend as much. And then what's going to happen is if the Fed then does all these emergency things, because like Jeff says, something breaks, the market's going to freak out down, and they're going to have to cut. And what's going to happen is, if you go look at past recessions, the market just doesn't bounce once the Fed pivots. Because once the Fed pivots, do you know why they're pivoting? It's because there's a disaster. The economy's a mess. They don't just pivot for fun. They're pivoting because of a reason. Yeah. So the higher for longer is the problem. And to Jeff's point, how do you get a sustained market rally when the Fed's just going to stay put and wait to get that inflation down, because we're still over 6%? So that's my thinking. Like the downside scenario is more probable than the Fed just everything working out magically. Jobs go up just a little bit. Unemployment hits where they want it. The market's fine. Everything, we do our little cut. Everything's swimmingly going along. I just find that almost,
Okay, now let me add something. Yeah. Let me add something. Tesla cutting prices, isn't that already deflationary? Isn't that already actually contributing to get the car market down? Because what they're doing is by themselves. They're actually playing Fed here. They are by themselves bringing the used car market down, because suddenly all the Teslas that are out there are cheaper, and then everybody else has to adjust. So they're doing it. And by doing it, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Here's the problem, though. Money supply is contracting. If you go look at the Fed, money supply is down. People's saving rates are way down. Guess what's up? Credit card debt. People aren't saving, and now they're using their credit card. That's called what? A disaster about to happen. If they keep raising rates, or these rates stay higher, and people then can't consume because they're tapped out on their credit card, you're going to get a deceleration of the economy, right? You will get this deflation scenario, which is good, but it's also bad. Because if you get deflation, then you get people just waiting. Oh, it'll be cheaper next month. Oh, I'm not going to buy. I'll wait for next month. And then you get a deflationary spiral. That's why I want the Fed, the way I would do it is I would not cut, but I would tell the market, we are going to be higher for longer, but we're going to pause. They should pause here and wait. They should see what.
It's too high.
But they should pause now instead of keep raising another 25, 25, 25. They should do one more 20.
Not for you to buy your whiskey. It's too high for DC. It's too high for them to refinance. That ceiling is.
In 2018, Alexandra, 2018, Trump berated Powell. Every day he got and tweeted, the Fed is nuts. The Fed is nuts. They're going to ruin my economy. They're going to ruin the stock market. And Jay Powell buckled, because he had the president on his butt every day. Joe Biden don't even know what the Fed is. He doesn't care. He's not going to be running for president.
You don't know it's not Biden. It's everybody below him. And it is, in this case, Republicans and Democrats. Nobody wants this debt ceiling disaster. So
but I really haven't seen any senator talk about the Fed except Warren. They've let everything go. Warren keeps saying, you're going to wreck people out of jobs. But I don't think DC really cares, to be honest, because the Fed, all Powell has to tell the congressman is inflation is way too high for your constituents. We need to get it under control because the average working guy, working girl are having a tough time out there. And guess what? Congress will shut up because there's no way they're going to push back and say, oh, we got to bail the stock market out and all those rich folks. Powell's got him right where he wants them. He can keep fighting inflation. And I understand what you're saying with the debt ceiling, but they really don't have until inflation comes down at a manageable level and you can see it. It's hard for DC to tell Powell.
DC started now. Janet Yellen started last week. He's going to go there for the beige book. I don't know what day that is. Believe me, this is coming to reality much quicker than you think, and they will turn in April. And you pay me that whiskey.
I was trying to have a happy party, and then Christian just made me all sad again. Come on, Christian. If there is a nice soft landing, 0.25, Tesla's going to skyrocket again, right? Because there isn't the issue, there's softening demand in China. Well, no, we did a price cut. It's going to be great. And then now they're going to say, well, the margin's going to get hit tremendously, but maybe it's not going to be that bad. So what is the next bear argument against Tesla before it can finally...
I want a little bit prudent. Will we see quickly a 70 or 80 X multiplier for Tesla stock again? I don't think so. It just, the whole situation has changed. You have cycles. That's a good thing about being old, where just euphoria takes over, and nobody questions why 70x or 80x is possible, and then suddenly you're down to 20, and already 30 seems far, right? It's just a matter of perception. So if you suddenly think, oh, this is going to go quickly to 400, well, we all wish, but it will come actually from two phenomena. It will come from the increase in earnings per share, but that just takes time, every quarter, and a major perception of Tesla. And that will come with more products, a more stable balance sheet, everything just, working up. And also competitors actually losing market share. That's going to happen at the same time, especially if we have a little bit of a recession. So I just don't want anybody to have this, oh my God, okay, we came from 400, we'll be back in 400 in 2 weeks. That's not how it works. It's always a matter of really the lens by which you look at a market, and currently we're not in an euphoric lens. That's going to take a couple of trimesters and quarters until we are there again.
Just on one positive note, maybe just I think last year it was finalized that it was 10% EV penetration of total auto. Yeah. And that was when Tesla, who's used huge market share, was at their highest prices they've ever sold their cars for. And now you see what they've done with their pricing. Now you see what's going on with the IRA, individual state credits, and also credits that are happening in other countries. This may be the year that you can get the most amount of an EV or the most EV, and there'll be supply of them at the lowest price points ever. So I think this is really about EV penetration of total auto, because total auto is still so big. And I think it's based on what Tesla has done and based on what governments are doing, it's never been better positioned than it is this year. Yeah. So let's see how bad macro is, but they've certainly set it up for something, that could be pretty amazing. We'll see.
Yeah, agree.
Okay. Are you guys, I want to be optimistic. Come on. Q4 earnings call. Are you guys expecting anything about Tesla Energy? Anything there that it's not going to be material, but anything there that might actually wake people up? Or are you going to wait till Q1? And then maybe then people are thinking that there's going to be something about Tesla Energy that will start to change the narrative a little bit.
Yeah, I'll disappoint you. Go ahead, Christian.
Everybody answers one. Yeah.
So when Tesla hit, it's collapsing down 101. I'm optimistic on Tesla. I'm slightly bearish on the overall economy, but I think Tesla is so strong with those price cuts, even in a tough economy. I think they're going to be the go-to product. So I'm actually bullish on Tesla, and I'm slightly bearish on the economy, if that makes any sense.
Yep, I do.
Okay. So
you going to answer my question, or are you changing the topic?
So the energy business coming through, I think, is the thing. Here's how stock markets work and stocks work. Everybody knows Tesla's car business. There's no surprises there, right? Everyone understands that now. So that was the initial run up. That's over with. So we need something, and I think energy is the easiest one that's tangible that they'll understand. We need something that they could see that is coming out of the woodwork, that's growing, that they're not accounting for. And energy, as much as we're talking about it, we understand it. I don't think Wall Street, it's on their radar. Now, maybe slowly it is now, but they really don't model that business at all. It's still a car fundamental business. So I said it earlier in the show, if it shows up in the financials and Tesla talks about it next year as being a strong signal, and even in a tough recession, maybe that they can get these mega packs out, and energy business is going to have margins and nice margins that can supplement the car business. Well, now you have a different business, right? You have an energy division that's significant, and now you have an auto division making up your total market cap. So I think that is a game changer, and that's why I'm bullish Tesla, and I'm slightly bearish on the overall economy. So Tesla stock
Q4 earnings call next week, or is it going to be Q1?
No, I think Q4. I think it'll show something. I think the deployed energy will be significantly higher than it was in 3. Now, it might not be gangbusters, but it'll be enough to take notice of it. And then it's up to Tesla management if they want to highlight it on the call, talking about what the energy business looks like at 23. Instead of a throwaway line like, oh, we're going to grow, double, yeah, maybe, oh, no, triple, actually exact talking about a little bit more about energy in detail so people understand the actual opportunity, you might hear something. But if it's a one throwaway line, oh yeah, energy business is going to grow double next year, let's move on to the next thing, then I don't think you get much of a pull on that. Yeah.
Jeff, you want to go first, or should I go first?
Yeah, just really quickly. Thanks, Alexander. I was just going to say, Elon said it was either last year or the year before that he believes the energy business will be as big as the auto business at some point in time in the future. He makes these prognostications with some, obviously a tremendous amount of knowledge of where he'd like to take it. So if you use that as a backdrop and you look at what they're doing from a capacity perspective, the short answer to your question, I think it's not going to be overly material on the Q1 call. But the question is what they set it up for 2023. Do they actually start setting this up in terms of, total growth versus 2022? And if they show a multi-year growth story like they are showing with auto, it's going to be very material. If they have to do that, though, Zach has to lay that out.
Yeah. I just want to temper expectations for the Q4 2022 call.
Right.
Again, I may be completely off, but my strategy would be, and who am I, to make this one the most boring, down to earth, give good numbers, but not much of a guidance, not much of anything, referring to March 1st for the products, and letting Q1 play out. Q1 is going to be massive. I'm going to say something here. Christian is going to strangle me. I think, listen to this one, I think they will sell more than 500,000 cars this quarter. Okay, I put it out there. So if that happens, obviously Q1 results in April between Investor Day and the shareholder meetings are just going to be explosive. I think that would be so much more of a surprise, and a good surprise, than if they build it up too much now. On the energy thing, I really still believe, and I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, this recognition of profits is a complicated manner. And also do all believe, everybody's jumping on today's 2 million megapack prices. The ones that are currently on the parking lot in Lathrop have been sold when the prices were lower. So the margins are lower, just because there's so much delay between the moment the client orders them and the moment they're sitting on that parking lot and the moment they're going to ship to the client and the moment they're going to put to the grid, right? So we are currently dealing with older, lower margins that have to get out of the system until we are then getting to these $2 million mega pack, 50-60% margins that still have to be confirmed, right? We're all speculating, and I think we have good sources to speculate, but nothing is confirmed. So I'm not personally waiting for this earnings call to be spectacular. I think it's wrapping up a difficult year. 2022 wasn't an easy year for anybody, and Tesla navigated it better than anybody else, but may as well get it behind it. Get us smoothly to that product day and Investor Day, and really understand capital allocation, Gen 3 platform, product launches, whatever. I think that's going to be very interesting. Then have a good surprise with Q1 cars and maybe already energy, because then we're 3 months forward in that energy backlog, and then get it there. Yeah, I agree with Crest. I think we'll have multiple locations. I had this call in French, the spaces in French with the Canadians. It was crazy. There was also some European French, but the Canadians just took over. It was absolutely hilarious. And I'm pleased we didn't record it, because we're just talking too much, which was a good thing. So the Canadians are absolutely convinced that the next big factory will be in Canada. They see job offers. They feel that the government is in place with all the subsidies they need. So that's Canada. Mexico seems to be very well advanced. Asia, Indonesia seems to be still in the lot. So we're not talking only gigafactories for car production. We're now suddenly also talking US locations for more battery productions, because we need them to be produced in the United States to have the IRA conditions. So I think there's lots and lots coming. We know already about the Austin extension. That's huge as well. So I think there is really, really, really lots of things. Do I understand Quebec? Well, that's a good question, Raymond. I did struggle.
Did you notice a difference? Yeah.
Between French and Quebecois, of course. I mean, you can't understand them. But if I say that, I'm going to get so much hate. But
come on.
I concentrate.
No, it's not that big of a difference, is it?
Yes, yeah. I'm a seer.
I think March 1st.
Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I was going to say real quick, I think March 1st is the date for the Investor Day, right? Is that right?
Yes.
I think that is where Elon lays out essentially Master Plan Part 3. Because at Giga Berlin, he talked about it, and this was a while ago. We need massive scale. He said it like 5 times, massive scale, massive scale. So I think he's going to use that to let investors know, here's how we get to massive scale, whether that's announcing multiple gigafactories, you know, a laser type facility. I think he's going to lay it out there. That's why he hasn't laid it out yet. And I think he's waiting for that day to be the day that he lays out the vision for the next, you know, decade. That's just, I think that seems obvious.
It's a good segue because I think it's a good segue because I think that car, that next platform that they're going to produce, it's going to be half the price of the 3 and the Y, will probably run at the volume rate of the total yearly Tesla production before that car. So if Tesla's at 2 million units a year right now with 3Y and some S and X, that next platform down that's half the price is probably going to start running at 2 million units a year by itself once it gets up that ramp curve. So it's just something to think about. So when he talks about master, I'm glad Christian brought it up. When Elon talks about Master Plan Part 3 and just massive volume and massive scale, he's thinking about that next platform in auto. He's also thinking about the next platform in energy. And I believe with those two, they're going to literally run at the volume rate of all of Tesla production today. So if you kind of wrap your head around that, I know we're kind of sounding like everything's going to be perfect and great, but you know, I believe there's tremendous volume at that price range. And then when you take all the EV, all the credits for EV, and you take obviously the gas savings, it really is, it's the best economical choice at that point.
Yeah. And that brings me actually, because you asked earlier, Herbert, what would be my first question? And it was the energy recognition question. The second one is, where are we on 4680s? I mean, I completely understand that this is complicated and whatever, but I think it's really crucial that we understand where we are on that. Is it finally not going to be the main battery? If it is, where are we on the development of that?
Okay. Well, I think this is a pretty optimistic place to end. Alexandra, if we do not get 500,000 as the number of vehicles sold, you will have to, as penance, subscribe to Earl's subscriber for another 6 months. You lost me to me before. Now you have to do another 6 months of Earl super following him.
I mean, even if it's 499, I have to stay in that prison again.
We'll let you slide if it's 499.
Yeah. 5% plus or minus.
I'll try to negotiate that one.
Thanks, everybody. I might have to delete this episode, but thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye-bye, Herbert. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.